Hello friends! Here is another video with hopefully some helpful tips for teaching, especially now in the time of COVID. So in this episode, I wanted to share with you how I've made some adaptations to a traditional children's game, both for face-to-face and on Zoom. So the game is called Tingo Tingo Tango. It is a traditional game, children's game from Colombia. And I first learned about it from my friend Carolina Gomez of Fun for Spanish Teachers. And I will put a link to her blog post in the comment section of this video if you would like to go and read some more information. So the traditional way that this game is played, the players sit in a circle and then there's one player in the center. The players in the circle pass an object, like a ball, from one to the other, while the player in the center is chanting Tingo 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 as long as they want until they say Tango. When that person says Tango, whomever has the object that is being passed now has to do some kind of silly type of thing. Carolina calls it like a penalty, right? And then they get to be the person who is in the center to then do the chanting Tingo 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 Tango while the other players are passing that object once again. So as you can see, in the time of COVID, you can imagine that we can't be passing an object around in the circle. So the adaptation that I made to get around that was, instead of passing an object, I am indicating each child in the circle as the one in the center is chanting. So if they're going Tingo 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 Tango, I am indicating as they say Tingo. I'm not really pointing, right, because I don't want to point, but indicating Tingo 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 until Tango. I've been able to get outside to play this game. As many of you know, I've been trying to be outside as much as possible, and this was one that lent itself really well to being outside, so I could have a big circle. I've also had to play it inside this year because of rain, and so my classroom is set up in kind of modified rows for COVID. So while the student who is chanting is kind of in their spot, I have just been indicating kind of in order of how my students are sitting as they are chanting Tingo 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 until Tango. Again, to get around the idea of passing an object. So that has been the perfect adaptation. My students have been perfectly fine with that, and has been a lot of fun for us to play as an authentic game, which, as you know, I've often talked about how important it is to me to be bringing in authentic traditional children's culture into my classroom. One of the things that I really love to do with this game is to incorporate Rainforest Animals as the penalty when we're playing, right? So I use my Rainforest printable props for choosing which animal they are going to act out. Okay, so that's the silly thing that they have to do if they are the tango. And my kids really love this. So for example, normally kids might be able to choose from a basket, but again, because of COVID, so here's another adaptation, I'm doing the choosing. So I might pull un jaguar, or I might pull un oso perezoso. And I'm sorry, my voice has been going, so you can kind of hear that. Una anaconda. This one is hilarious. When you see kids acting out una anaconda, it's just so funny. Un colibrí, and so on. It could even be una flor. Okay, I do have some plants and fruits that are included in these printable props as well, which can kind of like be a silly shake-up. I really love using these for multiple reasons. One, it is certainly a connection to Colombia. Colombia is one of the most biodiverse countries in the world, and there are a lot of conservation efforts that are going on in Colombia, which is really inspirational, and I think a really great connection, especially if you're talking about the environment, if you're talking about social justice. These are pieces to connect to, because the environment is definitely a social justice issue. It is also connected to, that worldwide sustainable goals. There's a lot of different ways that you can pull this in. It's also great because kids just love acting out animals, right? And these are a lot of fun for kids to act out. I will say that every now and again, I have a kid who doesn't want to, and that's okay. I am perfectly fine if a kid wants to take a pass and just come up and do, take their turn as Tingo Tingo Tango. I'm good with that too. But most of my students usually want to act out one of the animals. Or even, like I said, sometimes it could be una flor, una banana, another possibility. So those are the adaptions for face-to-face. If you're on Zoom, you really can do something very, very similar. So if you think about, you have your cursor. So using your cursor to indicate, you're just going with your cursor from image to image, as the one person who is unmuted is saying Tingo 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 Tango. And that way you can do the indication of, kind of taking the place of passing the object. And then, of course, they're in their home. There's nothing that says, that you can't have, a kid acting out un tapir in their own home, right? So that piece of it is still super easy to incorporate, whether you're remote, as well as, of course, being face-to-face. So those adaptations are great ways to still be able to play this game with your students in this time that is totally different and challenging for us. So I hope these adaptations have helped you. I will put a link to, I think I said this, I will put a link to these rainforest props in the comment section if you would like to grab them. There's a whole set of them, and they are a lot of fun. I use them in a lot of other different activities as well, but they're a perfect connection for this game. So I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye!